And shalom. How's everybody doing today? Welcome back to Cover to Cover. I'm Jeremy Pyers. Today we're going to, I think it's part 3 of the reading of Bereshith, or Genesis. So, alright, let's jump right into it here, and we'll get started. And by the way, we're reading from the Halleluyah scriptures. So here we go. And we left off at 15, so we're starting at 16 here. And Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no child. Excuse me. And she had a Mitzrite, female servant, whose name was Hagar. And Sarai said to Abram, "See, Yahweh has kept me from bearing children. Please go into my female servant. It might be that I am built up by her." And Abraham listened to the voice of Sarai. And Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her female servant, the Mitzrite, excuse me, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife. And after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, he went into Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. So, just a quick note here. A lot of people, I see this crazy doctrine where people are trying to have all these wives and stuff nowadays, That's absolutely a sin. They try to use the patriarchs as an excuse for it. It was allowed. It was never Yahweh's intention to have more than one wife. He allowed it in certain situations. So, yeah. Just quick FYI, this is just an example of one of those situations. Many people like to take scriptures out of context to fit what they think, not what is actually written and what Yahweh thinks. Anyway, I'll continue. And Sarai said to Abram, My wrong be upon you. I gave my female servant into your bosom. And when she saw she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes. Let Yahweh judge between you and me. And Abram said to Sarai, See, your female servant is in your hand. Do to her what is good in your eyes. And Sarai treated her harshly and fled from her presence. And the messenger of Yahweh found her by a spring of water in the wilderness, by the spring on the way to Shur. And he said, Hagar, Sarai's female servant, where have you come from, and where are you going? She said, I am fleeing from the presence of Sarai, my mistress. And the messenger of Yahweh said to her, Return to your mistress, and humble yourself unto her hand. And the messenger of Yahweh said to her, I am going to increase your seed greatly, too numerous to be counted. And the messenger of Yahweh said to her, See, you are conceiving, and bearing a son. You shall call his name Ishmael, because Yahweh has heard your affliction. And he is to be a wild man, his hand against everyone, and everyone's hand against him, and dwell over against all his brothers. And she called the name of Yahweh, who had spoke to her, You are the El who sees. For she said, Even here have I seen after him who sees me. That is why the well she was called Beer Lahai Roi. See, it is between Kodesh and Berad. And Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram called the name of his son, who Hagar bore, Ishmael. And Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore Ishmael to Abram. And it came to be, when Abram was 99 years old, that Yahweh appeared to Abram and said to him, I am El Shaddai, walk before me and be perfect. And I gave my covenant between me and you, and shall greatly increase you. And Abram fell on his face, and Elohim spoke with him, saying, As for me, look, my covenant is with you, and you shall become a father of many nations. And no longer is your name called Abram, excuse me, but your name shall be Abraham, because I shall make you a great father of many nations. And I shall make you bear fruit exceedingly, and make nations of you, and sovereigns shall come from you. And I shall establish my covenant between me and you and your seed after you in their generations, for an everlasting covenant, to be Elohim to you and your seed after you. And I shall give to you, your seed after you, the land of your sojournings, and the land of Canaan as an everlasting possession, and I shall be their Elohim. And Elohim said to Abraham, As for you, guard my covenant, you and your seed after you, throughout their generation. This is my covenant, which you guard between me and you and your seed after you. Every male child amongst you is to be circumcised, and you shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall become a sign of the covenant between me and you. And a son of 8 days is circumcised by you, every male child in your generations. He who is born in your house, or who brought with silver from any foreigner who is not of your seed, he who is born in your house, and he who is brought with your silver, has to be circumcised. So shall my covenant be in your flesh, for an everlasting covenant. You know, even here he said to Abraham, it's an everlasting covenant. It never changes. He never has changed. Messiah never changed it. It's all the same. And an uncircumcised male child, who is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, his life shall be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant. And Elohim said to Abraham, As for Sarai, your wife, do not call her name Sarai, for Sarah is her name, and I shall barak her, and also give you a son by her. And I shall barak her, and she shall become nations, sovereigns of peoples are to be from her. And excuse me. And Abraham fell on his face and laughed, and said in his heart, It is a child born to a man who is 100 years old? Or is Sarah, who is 90 years old, to bear a child? Kind of a mistake on his part, laughing at Yah. Anyway. And Abraham said to Elohim, Oh, let Ishmael live before you. And Elohim said, No. Sarah, your wife, is truly bearing a son to you, and you shall call his name Yitzhak. And I shall establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. Just kind of another key FYI. Ishmael is the father of like the Muslims and all the Eastern religions, all that and everything. So we'll dive into that more as well. And there's a lot to dive into, trust me. And we'll get to it all. And as for Ishmael, I have heard I have heard you. See, I shall Baruch him, and shall make him bear fruit, and greatly increase him. He is to bring forth 12 princes, and I shall make him a great nation. But my covenant I establish with Yitzhak, whom Sarah is to bear to you at this appointed time next year. See, he blesses Ishmael just with becoming a great nation, but his covenant dwells within Yitzhak, or Isaac, as most know him. And that's where, Moses, all them, they stem from. They're Levites. Anyway. And he had ended speaking with him. And when he had ended speaking with him, Elohim went up from Abraham. And Abraham took Ishmael, his son, and all those born in his house, and all those brought with his silver, every male among the men of Abraham's house, and circumcised the flesh of their foreskin that same day as Elohim had told him. And Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. And Ishmael, his son, was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. Abraham and his son Ishmael were circumcised that same day, and all the men of his house, born in the house or bought with silver from a foreigner, were circumcised with him. So, pretty amazing stuff there. Just check the chat here for a moment. So, Shalom, Willow Bohemian. Megan, I believe that's you, right? Shalom, shalom. So yeah, this just explains Abraham's two sons and the two different wives they came from. So it has a lot to do with what's going to happen later on down the line. So say hi, Callan.
Hi.
Anyway, I know. So anyway, we'll get back to the reading here. So just a moment here. So 18. And Yahweh appeared to him by the terebinth trees of Mamre, while he was sitting in the tent door in the heat of the day. So he lifted his eyes and looked, and saw 3 men standing opposite of him. And when he had saw them, he ran from the tent door to meet them, and bowed himself to the ground, and said, Yahweh, if I have now found favor in your eyes, please do not pass your servant by. Please let a little water be brought, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. And let me bring a piece of bread, and refresh your hearts, and then go on. For this is why you have come to your servant. And they said, do as you have said. So Abraham ran into the tent to Sarah and said, hurry, make ready 3 seahs of fine flour, knead it, and make cakes. And Abraham ran to the herd, took a tender, good calf, gave it to a young man. He hurried to prepare it. Excuse me. Some of the lettering kind of bleeds through a lot when I take the pictures of the book. And he took curds and milk and the calf, which he had prepared, and put it before them. And he stood by them under the trees as they ate. And they said to him, where is Sarah, your wife? And he said, see, in the tent. And he said, I shall certainly return to you according to the time of life. And see, Sarah your wife is to have a son. And Sarah was listening in the tent door, which was behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old, well advanced in age, and Sarah was past the way of woman. And Sarah, meaning, past the age of giving birth, so they thought. And Sarah laughed within herself, saying, After I've grown old, shall I have pleasure, my master being old too? And Yahweh said to Abraham, Why did Sarah laugh, saying, Shall I truly have a child, since I am old? Is any matter too hard for Yahweh? At the appointed time I am going to return to you, according to the time of life, and Sarah is to have a son. But Sarah denied it, saying, I did not laugh, for she was afraid. And he said, No, but you did laugh. And the men rose up from there, and looked toward Sodom, and Abraham went with them to send them away. And Yahweh said, Shall I hide from Abraham what I am doing? Since Abraham is certainly going to become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be Baruch in him. For I have known him, so that he commands his children and his household after him to guard the way of Yahweh, to do righteousness and right ruling, so that Yahweh brings to Abraham what he has spoken to him. And Yahweh said, Because the outcry against Sodom and Amorah is great, and because their sin is very heavy, I am going down now to see whether they have done altogether according to the outcry against it that has come to me. And if not, I know so the men turned away from there and went towards Sodom. But Abram stood before Yahweh. And when Abraham drew near and said, Would you also destroy the righteous with the wicked? Suppose there are 50 righteous within the city. Would you also destroy the place and not spare it for the 50 righteous that were in it? Far it be from you to act in this way, to slay the righteous with the wicked, so that the righteous should be as the wicked. Far be it from you. Does the judge of the earth not do right? And Yahweh said, If I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I shall spare all the place for their sakes. And Abraham answered, he's pretty ballsy right here, testing Yahweh, calling him out. Pretty ballsy indeed. And Abraham answered and said, Look, please, I who am but dust and ashes have taken it upon myself to speak to Yahweh. Suppose there are 5 less than the 50 righteous. Would you destroy all the city for lack of 5? And he said, If I find there 45, I do not destroy it. And he spoke to him yet again and said, Suppose there are found 40. And he said, I would not do it for the sake of 40. And he said, Let not Yahweh be displeased, and let him speak. Suppose there are found 30. And he said, I would not do it if I find 30 there. And he said, Look, please, I have taken it upon myself to speak to Yahweh. Suppose there are found 20. And he said, I would not destroy it for the sake of 20. And he said, Let not Yahweh be displeased, and let me speak, only his time. Suppose there are found 10. And he said, I would not destroy it for the sake of 10. Then Yahweh went away as soon as he had ended speaking to Abraham. And Abraham returned to his place. Now, I'm just kind of check the chat here for a moment. Yeah, Abraham, it is pretty ballsy of him to call out Yahweh like that. He was doing it for the sake on if there was righteous in the city. And y'all respected him, and he said, even if there's only 10, I won't destroy the entire city, the city of sin. It's pretty amazing, I think. But doesn't look like any questions. I hope you guys can hear me okay. I raised up my mic volume. I took off all the microphone filters that I could. Someone was saying how they couldn't hear me. I'm trying to speak loudly and clearly. I don't know what it is. Everything I have, all my settings are turned up to the max. Like, I actually had to go into some settings on this app I have to increase my microphone volume even more. So I hope it helps. Hopefully. Anyway, we'll continue here. I think we're on 19. And then we'll get to 19. We'll read 19 here, and we'll stop at 20. And then we'll go ahead and we'll probably continue next week from there. So, anyway, I'll continue. And the two messengers came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. And when Lot saw them, he rose up to meet them. He bowed himself with his face toward the ground. And he said, "Look, please, my masters, please turn into your servant's house and spend the night. Wash your feet and rise early and go your way." And they said, "No, but let us spend the night in the open square." But he urged them strongly, and they turned to him and came into his house. And he made them a feast, and baked unleavened bread, and they ate. Before they lay down, the men of the city, men of Sodom, both old and young, all the people from every part surrounded the house. And they called to Lot, and said to him, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us. Let us know them." So Lot went out to them through the doorway, and shut the door behind him, and said, "Please, my brothers, do not do evil. Look, please, I have 2 daughters who have not known a man. Please let me bring them out to you, and do to them as is good in your eyes. Only do no deed to these men, because they have come under the shadow of my roof." He's saying this because these are angels of Yahweh, and these men are trying to sin against them. In this context, it's many say it's homosexuality. I kind of lean towards that direction. They wanted to commit homosexual acts with them. There's a couple brothers who have some studies who say, it's not just homosexuality, which, I kind of agree with that. But I believe homosexuality is also involved in this, because they were wanting to know them. Anyway, he wasn't just throwing his daughters to an angry mob, because he knows Yahweh is going to protect them. Anyway, I'll continue. But they said, "Stand back." And they said, "This one came to sojourn, and should he always judge? Now we are going to treat you worse than them." So they pressed hard against the man Lot, and came near to break down the door. But the men reached out their hands and pulled Lot into the house with them, and shut the door. And they struck the men who were at the doorway of the house with blindness, both small and great, and they wearied themselves to find the door. And the men said to Lot, "Have you anyone else here? A son-in-law, and your sons, and your daughters, and whoever you have in the city? Bring them out of this place, for we are going to destroy this place, because the cry against him has grown great before the face of Yahweh, and Yahweh has sent us to destroy it." And Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law, who had married his daughters, and said, "Get up, get out of this place, for Yahweh is going to destroy this city." But to his sons-in-law he seemed to be as one joking. And when and when morning dawned, the messengers urged Lot to hurry, saying, "Get up, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, lest you be consumed in the punishment of the city." While he lingered, the men took hold of his hand, and his wife's hand, and the hands of the 2 daughters, Yahweh having compassion on him. And they brought him out, and put him outside the city. And it came to be, when they brought them outside, that he said, "Escape for your life. Do not look behind you, nor stay anywhere in the plain. Escape to the mountains, lest you be consumed." And Lot said to them, "Oh no, Yahweh, look, please, your servant has found favor in your eyes, and you have increased your kindness, which you have shown me, by saving my life. But I am unable to escape to the mountains, lest calamity overtake me and I die. Look, please, this city is near enough to flee to, and it is small. Please let me escape there. Is it not a small matter? And he let my life be saved. And let my life be saved." And he said to him, "Look, I have favored you concerning this matter also, without overthrowing this city for which you have spoken. Hurry, escape there, for I am not able to do any deed until you have arrived there." So the name of the city was called Zoar. The sun had risen upon the earth when Lot entered Zoar, and Yahweh rained sulfur and fire on Sodom and Gomorrah from Yahweh out of the Shamayim. So, I kind of mentioned him last time, but Ron Wyatt, go look up, he discovered the city of Sodom and Gomorrah. There's also there's also brimstone and ash there that is found nowhere else on earth. It's amazing. You can see the outlines of the old cities that used to be there and the buildings that are just ash now. Go check him out, Ron Wyatt. I got a playlist of his videos on my page. So he overthrew those cities, and all the plain, and all the inhabitants of the cities, and what grew on the ground. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a post of salt. Excuse me, just a second. And Abraham rose early in the morning to the place where he had stood before Yahweh. He looked towards Sodom and Gomorrah, and towards the land of the plain, and he still looked and saw, and he saw the smoke of the land, which went up like smoke of a furnace. Thus it came to be when Elohim when Elohim destroyed the cities of the plain, that Elohim remembered Abraham, and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in which Lot had dwelt. And Lot went up out of Sohar and dwelt in the mountains. And his 2 daughters were with him, for he was afraid to dwell in Sohar. And he and his 2 daughters dwelt in a cave. And the firstborn said to the younger, Our father is old, and there is no man on the earth to come into us, as is the way of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and lie with him, so that we may preserve the seed of our father. Yeah, they slept with their father. It's kind of gross. Anyway, they did say that Yahuwah promised to make his seed great. Careful what you pray for, huh? So they made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and lay with her father, and he was not aware of it, when she lay down, or when she arose. And it came to be on the next day that the firstborn said to the younger, See, I lay with my father last night. Let us make him drink wine tonight as well, and you go in and lie with him, so that we keep the seed of our father. So they made their father drink wine that night as well. And the younger arose and lay with him, and he was not aware of it when she lay down, or when she arose. Thus both the daughters of Lot became pregnant by their father. And the firstborn bore a son, and called his name Moab. He is the father of the Moabites to this day. And the younger, she also bore a son, and called his name Ben-Ami, for his father is the children of the Ammon to this day. Yeah, so pretty gruesome details there. Lot's daughters slept with him and had children with him. So it's going to be kind of an important detail in the future as well. Actually, everything's going to connect here. So this is why it's important you read from cover to cover. Hence the name of my channel. Yes, thank you, Callan. So okay. So if you guys have any questions at all, I'll be more than happy to answer any of them. Even if you put them in the comments afterwards, I try to keep on top of responding back to comments and everything. Doesn't look like there's any questions, but yeah, if you guys enjoyed this, please give it a like and a share. Actually, I'd really appreciate it if you share, because I'm unable to share right now because of a 7-day Facebook ban for sharing the truth. It's kind of funny. They'll ban you for sharing the truth before you can scroll down 2 posts. But actually, you can just look up yourself. All these pedophilia sites and promoting pedophilia and this and that, and you go to report them. Oh no, sorry, this isn't against our community guidelines. Disgusting. Just utter disgusting. I'm ready to just quit Facebook. There's a brother Sean. Actually, you should. I'm subscribed to his channel. It's Kingdom in Context. You can find him on my channel, likes as well. But he's creating a platform that's going to be like Facebook, YouTube, and a couple other ones kind of combined in one with no censorship. So, I'm waiting for that to come out. Because Facebook, I'm just done with it. You can't share You can't even share a meme without getting fact checked by these George Soros funded propaganda media sites. Or who's fact checking them? Exactly. Anyway, sorry. It's just the filth and disgustingness of this world. It just makes me sick. And it's all because Satan is the ruler of this world. Because Yahweh has allowed it for a time. As we read on, we'll get to that as well. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the reading today. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. I might be considering putting up a PayPal link to donate in case you want to donate to this ministry. I guess it's not really a ministry, it's just me reading scripture. I've just been out of a job. I'm looking for work. I got kids to provide for. I do side jobs and such. It's just, especially with all this scamdemic going on, it's really hard to find work. Anyways, thank you. May Yahweh bless you. Have a blessed week. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and share. And I will see you guys next week. Shalom.